One thing I want to start with is what we already have. What we already have is a bunch of southern facing windows. Southern facing windows is really important because of sun exposure. If you're talking passive solar, your furnace is the sun, and so the more sun you can get in, the better. And southern exposure is when you're in the northern hemisphere. When you're in the southern hemisphere, you're going to want northern exposure windows. Basically, whatever's facing the equator, think of it as a nice tropical breeze coming in and warming your house. So if you go online, there's certain calculators that you can go and figure out how much sun will come in your windows on a sunny day. Like I said, it's basically turning on a furnace. Now, if you don't get a lot of sun exposure, like in Cleveland here, then you can pretty much guarantee that it's not going to be a huge gain. Still, whatever the 20 days of the year of the winter that we get the sun coming in, 20 days of not paying a heating bill or paying a very small heating bill is a real big deal. That said, windows are much lower R value than a wall. Typical house wall is about an R15. Windows are, a single pane is an R2. Double pane you can get up to R4 if they're sealed well. And triple pane you can get up to probably an R7. Sometimes there's some innovations that say you can get even as thick as a regular wall. I kind of doubt that. The only thing we've seen here is some people boasting that they've got an R4. But they won't tell you the R value will tell you a U value, which is 1 over R. So you have to do a little math in order to figure out what sort of insulative value they have. That said, they are an actual barrier from ventilation. So unlike a wall where air can flow to some degree through it, a window is pretty solid. So the heat has to jump through the glass, transfer all the way through the glass, jump through the next bit of air and a double pane glass, then go through another sheet of glass, and then go into your house. It's the energy from the heat has to go through that versus the actual air molecule, which takes a little bit more time. So that said, you do want to minimize whatever windows you don't have sun exposure through. So what we do have a problem with is on the back side of the house, there's giant northern facing windows, northern towards the polar vortex's windows, and they are huge, and one of them is, a couple of them are actually single pane, so we're getting a huge amount of heat loss through those windows facing to the north. And as for the windows to the east and west, you have to kind of judge on that how much exposure you get. Sometimes areas tend to be sunnier in the morning, cloudier in the afternoon. That's kind of a judgment call there. What I've done on those windows, though, to try to increase the energy efficiency, and it has worked. Our space heater wouldn't keep up in our bedroom if I didn't do this. Is I took some plastic like you would in a greenhouse, and I stapled it to the top of the windowsill and rolled it down, and put a wood bar at the bottom to hold it in place. So it basically acts as another pane on the window. Now it's not as airtight, but it does make difference, and I'll show you once I get inside. One of our northern facing windows, as you can see, it's huge. Now what you may not notice, it looks a little bit mute in color, and that's because it's got a double layer of greenhouse plastic on top of it. Like I said, stapled it to the top of the windowsill up here, and then I let it hang down, and ideally I'd want to put a bar over here to kind of give it over here in order to get it an extra strong seal. So if you feel the plastic itself, it's not really cold. If you feel around the edges. You can feel the hot, cold air kind of coming through little bits of holes, but it's definitely a change in heat loss from where it was when I had an energy audit and took a look at this. This is a single pane, and boy did it make a difference when I put the plastic up. Double pane is not nearly as big of a deal, but I still keep it up. Now in summer, when I don't want to ruin my view even this little bit, what I can do is I can roll up the plastic and I attach it with the Velcro up here, and it's out of sight, out of mind. No one even notices it exists.